All right, click the links, join channel, become a member here over subscribe. So I got a mailbox, you want to mail me some comics, and if you want me to review it, then include a note in the comic itself or something. So Star Wars producer Kazanjian decimates Rian Johnson, Abrams, and Kennedy and Lucas's all of Disney, really, the sequel trilogy, for just the absolute garbage it is. Kind of an interesting honest he guy writes an autobiography, and he's talking about how little these people understand Star Wars, which is kind of a little kind of cool inside baseball thing where you wouldn't expect them to be that honest about Disney Star Wars, but they're all retired now. They're being honest. They're going like, yeah, these everyone working on modern Star Wars didn't understand the story. Like, yeah, no doubt they didn't understand the story. And the weird thing is they didn't understand it. Like, the fans understood it. They didn't want to understand it. They didn't make any attempt to understand it. And it seems like they flat out didn't care about Star Wars, which is weird. I'm not expecting people, like, I know it's a paycheck for these people. That's fine. They don't have to be fans of the thing to even write a good story. I get that. But you have to, like, you're dealing with billion-dollar properties and the potential to be billion-dollar properties, even though Disney kind of screwed that up with the Disney Plus streaming shows that I don't think have made any money yet, or not what they expect, not what they should make. But that's the thing, is like Disney Star Wars, the potential is like, say they're making X amount of dollars now, but they really should have been making 10 times X. If you really could have turned Star Wars into something. So, like, from that, I expect you to respect, like, your job to do, to like take part, fulfill your contract in good faith and fair dealing, which means you have to investigate Star Wars. You have to study the trilogy. You have to study what made it so successful, what made it connect with an audience. And it seemed like the people working on the modern Disney Star Wars didn't give a poop about modern Star Wars. They just said, oh, we have these woke elements. It's like a checklist of, these diversity purse puppy Mary Sue's we need in the show. And we have some of this, like, okay, we need to have two BLT characters kiss in the background, and we know those kind of garbage. And it's like, no, that's not what Star Wars is. And they look at you like you're a dragon breathing fire. They can't believe that you'd be against these kind of woke elements. And they go, yeah, look at the original Star Wars. The merit of the show, the little blonde Luke Skywalker on the hero's journey, the tribe of people out there, good versus evil. And they again look at you like, no, that's not why we bought Star Wars. We only bought Star Wars to use it as a vehicle to push these kind of woke propaganda. But then how is the return on investment for that? It's like, oh, it's not been that good. Well, no shit. So old school Star Wars is pooping all over the new stuff, and it's just kind of not that often that you see people come out. I mean, they're retired, that's why they're able to say this stuff. They don't give a darn about working in Hollywood anymore. But to flat out point to Abrams and Kennedy and going, yeah, they don't understand Star Wars and they ruined the Disney trilogy. It's like, oh, hell yeah, they did. That's the one thing that bothers me is I was not even the hugest Star Wars fan, but I look at the potential for what Star Wars could have done, and they just didn't care. And they paid $4 billion for it. And I care more about things I pay $40 for than it appears that they care about Star Wars. So none of this is making sense to me. It's like, so like this is a appreciable part of the Disney business portfolio, at least the potential for Star Wars. It could have been the flagship carrier, and they just like threw it aside. That's bizarre to me. So Disney Star Wars is so bad that even the old school producers are coming out and admitting that Disney, Abrams, Kennedy, and Johnson did not understand Star Wars, which they very much didn't. So the Star Wars producer, in his autobiography, Kazanjian, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, said that Disney didn't understand the sequel trilogy. He's the producer who did, follow me here, Empire Strikes Back, Jedi, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, 3 of just excellent action adventure films in the 80s. Just absolutely fantastic films for what they were. Action adventure is a silly film. It's not like they don't get the awards like dramas do, but for what it was just done to a perfectly high level of what it was, a Star Wars, space opera action adventure. Like Empire and Raiders of the Lost Ark, everything about that, the film, the sound. I mean, the storyline of Raiders is obviously, they're silly. It's like, obviously they're silly, but they're silly they're silly movies that are taken very, very seriously, where modern Star Wars is silly movies, but it doesn't seem like they care about them at all. Which it's, I mean, that's kind of the occasion. So this guy knows what he's talking about. Because he made films that connected with an audience, while Disney made Star Wars that did not connect with an audience. And you go, well, they made $1 billion with these movies. The first one did well because it connected with the name recognition of Star Wars. That's why it did well. And then they dropped off a cliff because people realized, oh, so it's really this chick and these two sidekick dudes who are just kind of sniffing her panties the whole time. But it's just this chick and it's girl power. And then there's this purple-haired lady on board a ship, and then Princess Leia, who looks like she should be in rehab. God bless her. But I mean, she's had some mental illness and drug issues and stuff, and it's like, honestly, it probably would have been better to replace her. It sucks. It's like being a Hollywood actor is rough enough, but also having issues. It's like that's just a rough combination. And then you guys deleted her. I mean, the whole thing is just so Han Solo is like the most famous character, and you had his son hit him with a lightsaber, but you didn't set up why that was and then you had Luke try to delete his nephew. Were even the actor, what's his name, Mark Hamill, was doing an interview with Abrams, and he goes, "That's not Luke Skywalker. That's just crazy writing. Who wrote that crap? That's not Luke." And Abrams is looking like, oh shit, somebody stop this guy from talking. And he goes, "That's not the Luke I know." It's like, yeah, that's really out of character. But I trust Abrams or Johnson, whoever did it. Like, I'm sure they're going to make it work. It's like, plot twist, voice off camera. They did not, in fact, make it work. So Luke Skywalker, he's hovering over his own nephew to delete him. That's kind of weird because in Return of the Jedi, he's willing to sacrifice himself to save his father. Yes. Do you guys watch the original movies? Not so much. We read the Cliff Notes versions, the highlight versions. So why did they entrust you guys with billion-dollar properties? I don't know. These are all really good questions. So, yeah, obviously the fans understand Star Wars better than these idiots. And it's, it really doesn't make sense to me because you're talking about billions of dollars, or it was worth billions of dollars. I'm not sure what Star Wars is worth these days because I don't know if you look at the IP, the net for what they paid for it and then what they expected to get out of it and what they actually got out of it. If it's a net positive to Disney anymore, in the beginning it was with the trilogy because the first film it did really well. But now, then you had Solo and you have this like depreciating asset. And then they had the 7 Disney Plus streaming shows, Acolyte, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Andor, and a bunch of others. I don't know if those are like total of those are net profit or not. I kind of don't think so. And the next Star Wars big screen film that is probably going to be the Daisy Ridley one is going to kind of sort of tell you where the company is going with it. And you would think it would be inconceivable if the movie failed. But Solo bombed hard. And the thing is, Solo wasn't a bad movie, but it bombed because, Vegan always gets in the comments about that. It bombed because the earlier Star Wars trilogy was such a letdown. Like, I saw Solo, and Solo was way better than the Star Wars trilogy, the main Star Wars trilogy. But it wasn't really, it wasn't great, but it's like, yeah, it was just better. But that's like Rogue One was probably the only Star Wars movie that actually felt like a Star Wars movie. And that made $1 billion. But anyway, so like what's gonna happen with the next film? It's gonna make a profit, I'm sure. I don't think it's gonna bomb like Solo did because if it has Daisy Ridley in it, people like Daisy Ridley, like, so chicks will go see that. But I don't think it's gonna be the massive hit like they're expecting it to be. I kind of think that those days are over. So it's you're gonna have a female-led chick flick, but it's an action adventure flick. So that is not the kind of movie that chicks are into. And it's going to be, the movie has to cost at least $200 to $300 million. So you really got to get your money back on that, plus the advertising. So are there enough people out there to make the movie profitable? Yeah, probably profitable, but probably not, a massive hit. And it's not like the days of, at one time they had a chance to turn Star Wars, to get some of the energy of the original Star Wars, to try to capture that. And they just went in completely the other direction. It's like, no, we're going to use Star Wars to push all like diversity and these woke elements. And I look at them and I'm like, why would you do that? Because it's a cult. Like, this is a religion. Globalism is a religion to these people. All this like eyes wide shut stuff, that's not sounding so crazy like it used to. So even Lucas's ex-wife, who worked on the originals, which were massive successes, said that Kennedy and Abrams don't understand Star Wars, which is just a brutally honest way of telling them, they effed up. But it's like they know they effed up, but it also seems like they don't care. They got paid. They're going to go on and do other stuff. It just seems like Disney is going to absorb the loss of Star Wars, and like nobody cares. The whole thing is really hard to understand. So they killed off Han Solo, and there was no point to it. Nothing in the movie laid the proper foundation for anything they did. It was like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to look at Star Wars and go, so you guys got this billion-dollar property that you just don't give two shits about. That's weird. Obviously it was a tool to push propaganda, all these woke elements in the story, but part of it seemed like they really just kind of wanted to get it out of the way or something. They were just doing stuff that looked like Star Wars, but it wasn't Star Wars, where they had the sets and the costumes. It's like, oh, this reminds me of 77 Star Wars. But they didn't have a story. They had woke elements that they knew they had to include with all these, like, okay, African, Asian, Middle Eastern. We got to have all these characters in the background. We got to have two women kissing in the background. And he goes, so that's not really the merits of a Star Wars story. And they go, oh, what are you, some kind of Hugo Boss? Well, yes, but I mean, still, that doesn't help you sell Star Wars. It's like insulting the audience doesn't. None of the things are, oh, yeah, by all means, get on social media and call people chatty incels or whatever for saying this is stupid. How is that working out for you, Disney? It's not working out too well for Disney. So she says, the woman, Lucas's ex-wife, does this interview, and she says, this, hey, it takes balls. It says they're trying to sell to a female audience that doesn't exist. It's freaking awesome to hear some of that honesty like that. Yeah, Barbie, it was pink and it was a beautiful blonde couple, and they were just had all these feminist talking points, and it made $1 billion plus because you had this just beautiful blonde people running around just doing silly things, kind of a lighthearted comedy with like stupid feminist stuff, which is all feminist stuff is stupid. But that was what chicks were into. But Disney Star Wars is an action adventure. A girl running across the desert. It's like she's, I don't know, over 30 now. She should have kids. She should be married. She shouldn't be, running around a desert without a romance. The only way to make the new Star Wars is if there was a romance in it, where the Twitter kids could, I don't know what they call it. They have these like parasocial relationships with. You have to have a romance in Star Wars. You have to have it. She has to be swept off her feet, and that has to be a major theme of Star Wars, because I don't think you have the male audience. Like, if the way they're doing Star Wars now, they're like, okay, it's probably going to make $800 million. So it paid for itself. It got a small net profit, but it's not a stellar hit. But if they want to make it over $1 billion, the romance has got to be like star-crossed lovers or something, and she has to save him, or he has to, I don't know, something. But there has to be some parasocial relationship for little girls to look at this thing and get on board with it. Because otherwise, why would they get on board with it without romance? Chicks are hardwired for romance, and men are hardwired for action adventure. And it's like more people just have to be honest about this kind of stuff and just say what you want. I want to see more blonde-haired, blue-eyed, hot, skinny chicks running around in lingerie as often as possible. Like, okay, that's not really Star Wars. Yeah, fair enough. That's not Star Wars. Lingerie in Star Wars. Well, I mean, Princess Leia was running around the ship in the first one with those huge jugs that they had those huge just milkers. They had to tape those things down. They're just unbelievable. Where is I going with this? Oh yeah, okay. So hot chicks in revealing clothing are not Star Wars. Fair enough. But neither is all this race swapping and the two gay characters in the background kissing and like black chicks riding space camels or something on a spaceship. I kind of fell asleep during that movie. That's not Star Wars either. So would you? I mean, if you're gonna make something that's not Star Wars, can we at least get more beautiful blonde girls in there, or just like beautiful red-haired girls, or can we get some of that? Just like the Princess Leia, the boobs, the milkers, just the Megan Fox running across the desert kind of scene. I don't know what it is about that. It's just burned into my memory. It's just megalarpaless. Can we get that? If we're gonna make not Star Wars, can we at least get a little more romance and a little sex appeal in there? The romance is for the chicks, and the sex appeal is for the guys who are going to go to see the Star Wars movie. I don't know when the next Star Wars comes out. I don't even know if I'm going to go see it. If someone buys me a ticket, I'll go see it, but I refuse to pay my own money for Hollywood. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Don't be shy about asking for milkers. You got to be real upfront about hot, skinny blonde chicks and milkers go a long way. You just and when you say this, and when they people like feminists lose their mind over, you have to pretend not to understand. Like, oh, but that's what I want. Like, oh, that's sexist and phobic and istophobic. Yeah, but that's what I want. That's what I'm okay. I'm okay being istophobic. If like milker nationalism all the way. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you over at Subscribe Star. Thanks for the comics in the mail, and I'll see you guys next episode.